Hey, and welcome to another. I'm excited about this episode because it's just me. And yes, I got great guests coming up. I've got people I get to call coming up, thanks to you guys who call in and leave messages on the number at the top of the thing. And I love calling you guys and talking to you. And this is Bob Saget's Here For You. And I say my name in a sentence because, that's what I do. And I've been reflecting over a lot of stuff because everybody's got a podcast. I mean, literally everybody. My UPS guy has a whole thing about, point of view of his boxes and where he's going with them, and or she. And people don't know. I mean, I've been rushed by people that come to my yard with a box, and they just come to me and they don't even think, because out of habit, we're used to having social distance not be a thing. But it's happened. It's happened. And I think it's always going to be that way. I think we're going to be, it's not the boy in the bubble time, but I think we're always going to be more conscious. I mean, how many times have you been in an airplane bathroom and not given any thought to just opening the doorknob on it? You just opened it, you walked in, you touched stuff, you washed your hands afterward, but then you go and touch the doorknob again. I always grabbed a paper towel, still in a Howie Mandel fashion, and I would let myself out and then let myself back in and then throw the thing out. But the plane was just covered in fungi. It was. And if I was really low blow on comedy, I'd say, and I'm a fun guy, but I'm not doing that. I don't do that kind of stuff because I'll do a dad joke, but sometimes you can do one and just throw an F-bomb in it and you're fine, then nobody gets hurt. I'm a fucking fun guy. No, it didn't help. Didn't help it at all. That just goes to prove that cursing doesn't help. Unless it's used properly and not necessarily as a verb. Anyway, the world's changed. People I've been talking to that you've been talking to, we know what's going on out there. Everybody's in a different mode. You can't really get massaged unless you're in a state that's allowing it. Sometimes people want to cross state line just to get a happy ending. But I don't think that's the kind of massage. It's funny that massage parlors was on the list of one of the things to open as quickly as possible. It's like, I don't know. It's like the government said, hey, I need my happy ending after work, so I got to go and do that. Anyway, this is just a time of change, and I'm fine with it because I don't mind being alone with my wife. I like it. I miss my kids really badly, the ones that I know about. The ones that I don't, they're online, texting me, you're my dad. I wish I had a dad. That's kind of how this whole thing happened. Is because I was kind of America's dad from TV back in the day. I kind of am still like that. I am a dad, and I love my kids more than anything. And when they're hurting, I just want to help them. But you can't do anything if they're in New York and I'm in LA. And here I am recording the home edition continually. I'm touching my face right now. I want you to know that. I'm scratching my nose, which is a large, consequential nose, so I'm proud of it. If you're going to give me a nose, at least let me have one. And I was double downed on by my DNA. But DNA in my family, forget about it. I don't know. There's a lot of issues there. A lot of people with problems. I'm just scratching my face. It's the end of the day, so I'm sitting here scratching my face with hands that are clean. They are Purell. How many airplane bathrooms have you walked into over the years where you didn't even think about it? You would just wait for the person to come out and then just hold the handle on the door and go into the bathroom and not even think, okay, I've already got the problem, whatever it is. It'd be the flu, or it'd be a cold, or it'd be some kind of weird thing. It wasn't like you can get herpes from touching the door handle on the airplane bathroom and then touching your mouth. You don't touch that handle and go in the bathroom and the first thing you do is, I'm away from people, I can't wait to touch my mouth. But that's not what you do. I have gone in the bathroom with my phone. I don't know if any of you have done this, and you're on Wi-Fi, and if you got any kind of business to do, first thing, if you got to do the whole deal and drop one, don't do it on a plane. If you can get it out before you get on, people haven't done anything responsibly. Responsibly, they've done it. They've read responsibly. They go to the bathroom responsibly. You go after me. But responsibly, I'm saying practice safe bathroom etiquette. And we're far from that. I don't think you can teach people how to wash their hands. Like, that's what was going on. All the scientists came out. This is the way we wash our hands. That's literally what they were doing, except saying it. It was kindergarten. So people in this world don't know distance. It's the Seinfeld thing, the guy that Judge Reinhold played that talks too close to you, that's right in your face. That's it right there. You're going to get whatever that person has. It's going in your mouth. Um, and that's what people, I guess they just, I guess it's the way they learned. I guess it's the way they weren't taught things, how to be socially appropriate just to make other people comfortable. I never, I mean, I went to chest bumping. We're all doing elbows. We're not doing any of that now. And I had an exterminator at the house this week. This has been a big week for me because I've had a rat problem for 3 years, and I'm getting rid of that agent. That's such an old kind of premise. But anyway, I've had a rat problem, and I had to have the guy in the house, and he's really considerate. He's got the mask with the whole deal with the extra compartments in it, and I don't know what they are, but it looks like he's going underwater or flying a jet. And he's a good guy, so I sit 9 feet away. But then I had to have another guy because they think there's stuff up on the roof that rats can get. You ever see rats on the roof? It was beautiful. They played a little fiddle. Wow, I think I just did something accidentally self-loathing. Just forget that I meant anything that I didn't mean. You know what I'm talking about, some of you. Anyway, so he found out they need screens on the roof over some of the little pipes and stuff so rats can't get in. Because I got a rat in the wall. There's a wall behind me right now, literally this wall. And I don't know why I'm telling you because it's a visual, but I got video going. But just for no reason, I'm at home with video going. I'm running many mediums. I'm going to microfiche after this. But I don't hear the rat right now, which is interesting, which means he might be caught because there's a trap up there. He's caught in a trap. He can't get out because I put the guy put Slim Jims on it. They're not a product that I'm endorsing, but if it's a long highway ride, don't think I won't eat one, or at least walk by it and look at it, decide if I'm going to go with turkey jerky. Or they don't have fish jerky, and I think that's good because a long trip, that's going to make you go to a restroom in a gas station. I said, a friend of mine said, I'm still going to the gas station. I said, well, you just go to the restroom? And he didn't laugh because we're still, it depends on where you are right now. Some people listening to this around the world or people around North America or in the U.S., they're able to cohabitate and not be concerned. Some people have had a test that tell them if they've had the disease, but we don't know if that works, but we'll find out. And one day, I understand, in the next 35 years, we're going to have literally an antidote. There will be, we'll all get it. We'll get the shot, and it'll be the vaccine that will stop us from getting this, supposedly. Unless you're... I'm not going to do bad taste humor. I can't do it. I can't do anything political or religious because it's just enough. Don't you think? When you watch TV and you get the news, I know a lot of you aren't even watching the news. You can't take it. But you have been understanding what it's like to be alone in a single apartment in a big city or a one-bedroom apartment. And you're there and you just can't, you haven't left. And some people are out and going about their lives right now. So it depends on where you are in the world. In any case, I've been thinking about everybody a lot. You can't walk around with the burdens of the world, but I do. The burdens are a couple from down the street. I go around with them, and we go around the world. Let me explain that even further. I'll go around the neighborhood with the burdens of the world, because that's anyway. So I'm most concerned that you're well and that your family's okay. But I know, and you know, that this has brought people together. And it wasn't like that. When I was a kid, I was like walking home from school in Norfolk, Virginia, and I'm walking on the street, and I was getting really hassled by these teenagers in a car, and they were like yelling stuff at me, a lot of, racial kind of things and religious kind of slurs at me. And I was just afraid I was going to get hit by the car, or they were going to hurt me. And I was pretty much a wuss. I got in one fight with a kid who kept calling me a Jew. And I don't know, I knew why, because that's what I was a Jewish person. But I ended up fighting him. I'm not a fighter, right? I look like one, but I'm not. And I went into the back of the schoolyard in Norfolk, Virginia, and we had a fight. And I thought my best friend, Buzzy, was going to root me on, but I gave him my watch, too. I said, Buzzy, hold my watch. I'm going to fight this kid Jesse, who's been saying mean things to me. And Buzzy held my watch and then cheered Jesse on. And that's when I realized that kids are pricks. They just can flip on a dime and just treat you like shit. And it's unfortunate because you want to be able to believe that you got friends that are, that got your back. And I ended up wildly working with adrenaline, and I just kind of took Jesse on the ground and scratched his elbows. It was weird. I was like a Tasmanian devil with no coordination, whereas he at least could spin and then stop and drool. But I was fighting. I mean, but I was like a foot and a half taller than him. Then he started to kick me in the nuts, and I said, "Hey, you're not supposed to do that. That's not the rules," because I thought there were rules. That's how big a geek I was. And he kicked me in the nuts, and my nose started to bleed. And I'm sure that was panic. But I thought there was some more of a connection. And I went to the nurse, and then I went home. And then my dad told me it was one long muscle that from your balls to your nose. And then if you get kicked in the nuts, your nose can bleed because it's all one. And then I kept saying, "Hey, if I push on my nose, will my wiener get bigger?" And then my dad just kind of smiled, and I think he felt bad. I think he went through that. My dad was a wuss, but he came up during the Depression and raised 5 kids. So he raised his brothers and sister, 4 brothers and a sister. So they went on the road as the Aristocrats for a while. That didn't pan out. My parents did not see that movie. I'm glad they did not. They were alive too when that thing came out. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's just fine. The main thing is that you're not going bonkers, and that you're not miserable the whole time, because there are positive things that come out of this. I'm connecting with people that I haven't connected with in a long time, and a lot of them are comedians, and I'm trying to connect with my kids. And when one of my daughters has a flu, and it's like, it scares the hell out of me, is that the beginning of something else? But you have to think positive and take every moment as it comes. And then you're laying in bed and you get an earthquake. We're not necessarily everywhere, but in California we do. And my wife didn't seem to care. I think she thought it meant there was movement, and I was ready to go. But I had to get up early because I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm just trying to entertain people. And I'm not trying. That's the thing. Some guy wrote a thing that you're not supposed to read that said I was trying too hard. And I'm like, well, no, I'm trying to entertain. And it was a first episode. So it was coming out of the gate kind of, I don't know. It was just what it was. And I was in a studio. And after 2 episodes, I couldn't be in a studio. So all of these episodes have been from home. So I'm sitting here, and I got my board. I got headphones in that are cool. And I'm just kind of enjoying it. And I get to call friends, and I get to call people. And that's important, that we're socially distant. But if you're with your family in the house and you're not pulling each other's eyes out, then God bless you. You're doing a good thing. But it's also a good time to play chicken, jump on your dad's shoulders and then realize you should stop because he's 90. And then you hear crunching and breaking, and then you got to take him to one of the ships. There's 2 ships, right? So the California coast, we got the Mercy, and then the Cloud over on the East Coast in New York. So I think that was named after the My Pillow guy. But that's where you go if you don't have coronavirus. So if I cut my toe off tonight, trying to make chicken or something, and the knife came down and sliced my toe off, I'd have to go to a ship right away. I don't think I'd go to urgent care. They can't sew your toe on. I need surgeons, and I can't go to emergency room apparently because the people are concerned that you could be, infected. But what about, all the congenital warts? Nobody ever cared about them. Nobody did anything. That's what everybody's complaining about, but the flu's killed more people, and all the other terrible things that kill people. Yes. And it's all horrible. And yeah, a lot of those things there's no cure for. And then there's flesh-eating viruses. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cheer you up like this, but this is an enemy that we haven't seen. So, but it's better than Cloverfield. It's better than like you look out your window and giant spiders are taking your buildings down. So I think J.J. Abrams did us a favor by making that, to make us appreciate a virus that we can't really solve that quickly. But it's not good, because I had a friend that almost died and made it with forced oxygen. And And I always use that. All the dates I used to go on, I never forced myself on anybody, but oxygen, hell yeah. Take a whiff of that, clear your head, like walking through Vegas. They pump oxygen into Vegas as you walk through Vegas, through the lot. It's weird, right? But what it does is it stimulates your brain and your boner. Because in Vegas, you got a boner all the time because there's all kinds of, stuff walking around. I don't know. I just set myself back 20 years into a world of misogyny. And I ain't that guy, but I sure did enjoy kind of playing it sometimes. Or playing at it, pretending, doing a rap video. I did that rap video years ago, and it cost $500,000 to make a rap video for MTV with Jamie Kennedy and Stu Stone. And it was called Rolling with Saget. And that was $500,000. And now you make a feature film for $500,000, and nobody would make the video would cost, what can you do for $1? Everybody get their phones out. Let's make a movie. So I'm actually incredibly impressed in this world of this, I don't want to say the word podcast, but it's a damn podcast. And the people that put it together are sometimes, Don Rickles would say, he's a very funny comedian. If you haven't seen him, you should look him up and see all of his stuff. Like there's a movie called Mr. Warmth that really shows him off. But he's a guy that would say, you're 12. What are you doing? You're 12. And I'm working with people that are 21 and 23, and I like it. I mean, I've always not been an ageist kind of person. I can have friends that are 97, or I can have a friend I'm not going to have a friend that's 9. That's just creepy, Hey, Bob, what do you want to do today? I don't know. That's a nice new lunchbox. Maybe get a thermos that matches it. Maybe we can get you some suspenders because your pants are falling down. Call the police. I'm Lenny from Mice and Men. Can I get arrested for this? I don't think so. That's what's so great about this. See, this is the thing, and a lot of my friends have been telling me this. They go, Bob, this is the freedom of speech that you've been looking for because you'll do a stand-up. I did a stand-up special, and I said fuck like all the time in it. And it was weird because it did really well on HBO, but it was, I guess they called it shock value, but I was performing at NYU in front of a bunch of 19-year-olds, and it was appropriate. It felt to be like a chameleon. But if I had a bunch of 60-year-olds, I wouldn't have done that. But that's not exactly my audience. But kind of is now. My audience goes from 15 to death, but death in the good way. Right? Last special you watch in hospice is me. Wow, that touched the death nerve. I joke about death too much because it's always around me because I've had a lot of it. But the great thing about this forum is the freedom of speech isn't gone, and you can find anything you want. A friend of mine said, you want to go on this podcast? And I went, wow, that's so filthy. And when I start thinking something's filthy, it means I'm evolving because I've gotten all the filth out of me. Back to the story, what I was saying, and I did this HBO special, That Ain't Right. I was at a benefit. I was trying to do a benefit for scleroderma, which is a sister of mine, as I've said before, passed away from, and it's hardening of the skin. You actually die from this disease. That's why we're trying to cure it. And my sister lost her life within 3 years of the same stuff that coronavirus causes, which is the lungs harden, and they get very brittle, and it's pulmonary hypertension. And so that is a pretty scary, it's all scary. I mean, all these diseases that are out there are insane. But as I'm about to go on stage and give a speech about how I lost my sister and all this stuff, a man grabs me in the HBO special I'd just been on, and he says to me, how could you do that? I said, what? I'm sorry, I'm doing the benefit. I'm trying to help. And he went, how could you do that special after all you've done? And he meant, here's a family-friendly guy, doing the family show and then doing the video show and being a host for America, where every other country had a different host. I think they ran America's Funniest Home Videos in China and in Russia. But a lot of countries like France and Australia had their own hosts. London had their own host, a guy named Jeremy Beadle. I don't know why I digress so much, but the guy was giving me shit for having cursed in this special, and it made a lot of people laugh. And if they didn't want to watch it, they didn't have to. But I don't know. It's where I was at the time, and I've got a lot of stand-up I want to do now, and I can't do it. I can't go. And even if I get the test, and even if we're able to get that test and find out you're clear and you've had the disease already, which I think I did, by the way. I think I got it from watching some really bad reality TV, and then my lungs just closed up. So if you had it, then you could go out with people, but we don't know if you can get it again, really. I don't think there's going to be someone's not going to drop the hammer and go, oh, you're not going to get it again because you had it. Or maybe they will in a year and a half. I don't know. I hope so. But I can't go and be in a room with 1,000, 2,000 people, 400 people, and be concerned that they haven't had it yet and they're going to give it to each other. So, and I also don't want to go out into an audience that's got face masks on, because then you don't hear the laughs. It just sounds like the whole audience is going down on itself. I can't do that. And so I'm really looking forward to getting out and performing again. But this is so, I'm not bullshitting you. This is so special to me because, and people were giving me lectures, people that I respect the shit out of, like Bill Burr, and was saying, and if you heard that episode, Bill's like, Bob, just have conversations with the people. And, and basically, and then he criticized me for, a good half an hour. I just took a beating, but I love the guy so much, and he's one of the best stand-ups that exists. And that's the thing, is we make sick humor because it's how we deal. Because he's one of the sweetest people I've ever known. But boy, did he beat the shit out of me on this podcast. But that's the thing, is to be able to get out. And how do you do stand-up again? When will that come back? So many people have lost their jobs. How can they afford to buy a ticket? I think they will. We all think we're going to come back. If you don't think it and it feels like it's over, I've been there. I spent my early 20s living in a single apartment with, just thousands of dollars into debt. I had no money. And I would eat a bunch of crap. I think I ate baked beans and hot dogs. That really helped my cholesterol and my gas. My God. I had a girlfriend, kind of, but then she was like dating another guy. And so I just fart all day long, just eat beans. And it was like living in the Great Depression. And again, I don't know why they called it great. It was shitty. They should call it the shitty depression. And this time is going to be one that we're all going to get through, but it's a fucking battle for everybody to get there. So I just wanted to, before we go to break, I just wanted to say the word penis, and we'll be right back. Hey, we're back. And we're back because I'm not alone on this. This is, I'm with you guys. I don't know if you're in your car listening to this. It's weird when I hear cars driving around. I went on one car ride with my wife, and then I had to go on a car ride, and she wanted to see the beach. So we kind of drove up the Malibu, all the way up to Malibu on PCH. And people were driving like assholes. They were driving like it was the Autobahn in Germany, and they were going like 90 miles an hour, and cops aren't going to stop them. They don't want to get anything. And I thought, what if we get in a car accident? There I am. I'm on the Mercy ship, getting put back together again. And it's not good to people that those first responders. Okay, everybody always says it all the time, so I'm not going to say it, but God bless them. I don't even say God bless. I don't even say that. We're saying stuff we might not even say. Like some people I know that don't say things like that. Like, well, I'm praying for you, things like that. There's some people that are non-believers of prayer, but this is that time. You always hear about someone on a plane who never prays until the plane starts going down, doesn't believe in God, and then goes, oh God, please save me. I know I've never really prayed, but please let me get through this. And then other people are just smiling and realizing, what's the big deal if everybody goes? And I feel bad for those people because I've been that depressed, where not that I wanted other people to go, but I didn't care about my own life. And isn't that weird? And I made a lot of decisions and lost a lot of people and realized the value of life, because it's a second that goes by and 10 years passed, and I didn't know that. When I was in my 20s, I literally was like all you guys that are just thinking, oh, no, it doesn't matter. Nothing's going to happen to me. I'm invincible. I'm in my 20s. By the way, I'm not farting. I'm sitting on a leather couch, and it just keeps making, let me see if I can hear that. That is just hot. Wish I was in some kind of gimp suit. rubs the lotion on its skin and does what it's told. I can't stop saying that. You make a horror movie, one of the most scary things ever made. I went to go see that movie, Silence of the Lambs, with a friend of mine, and behind us was a guy with his 9-year-old son. And I thought, that is a good dad. And why would you do that? You know? My stand-up that people say, you can't bring a kid to, it's really just a 9-year-old that learned a bunch of dirty shit. It isn't really meant to be graphic. People think that I have said worse things than I've said just because of the aristocrats, really. I mean, but I'm not going to defend myself because somebody will write a shitty comment anyway. And you got to do that with this thing. This is the other thing. I hate competitions. I hate them. I was asked to go on a show called Star Search when I was starting out. I wouldn't go on it. And I had no money. And I just wouldn't go on it because I didn't want to compete against another comedian. And the comedy winner is, and I don't like competition shows, but actually being friends with Howie Mandel has made me appreciate America's Got Talent because they really do connect with the people that succeed on that. And he says that there's stars that we see all the time in Vegas. It's got a lot of people from that show, or Dancing with the Stars, and Tom Bergeron's a friend of mine. I'm really not really wanting to talk about competition. I just want to name drop again that I'm friends with all the people on TV. I'm not. I've always been like a C student, and I always felt like I didn't get the right grades with stuff that I was proud of. And I guess that's just Marshall McLuhan said the medium is the message. So if you're on, a Polaroid, that's how people perceive you, unless Warhol shot it, and then you're way up there. But if you're on, something small, like if your show's on a phone only, that's how people perceive you, as a tiny little thing, which might be good if you hang out with like hummingbirds and elves, gnomes, little frogs, trolls, the troll dolls. I've got one. There's no hole. This one I have has a belly ring and ass crack, but no crotch, which is good because I don't want, then it becomes a sexual thing and I don't want that. But there's got to be somebody out there that's got a troll fetish. I've seen people in mascot uniforms that were like trolls. And there's Teletubbies. Thank God they're gone. But I don't know. Asking somebody to review your thing, it seems like terrible because I've never been reviewed. I've had a couple good reviews in my whole career, but I've also woken up in the morning to a newspaper. And this is all narcissistic showbiz shit to some of you guys, but it's equivalent to getting your thesis back and flunking and not being able to go to the school you want to go to. So, or not being able to graduate, or not having the money to be able to continue, or that scholarship didn't come through. That's kind of how I always felt about things. And then I always did well. I would always fall upward somehow. And I always said, if one door closes, just be careful your dick's not in it, but the other door will open. And then the rest of the piece that got severed off will be on that door. I just lost 4 people right before telling them to review. This is disgusting. Everything was fine till he talked about that. Well, not really. Talked about other stuff that I think offended you amply. I just get concerned that I'm in a competition of podcasts when the people that do them, many are friends of mine, some I just respect the hell out of. And they're doing something, especially during this whole time, from the beginning of quarantine and until forever. I think it's not going to change. People are going to want this. This is a medium that is no different than radio was, except there's many more channels. There's just so many places to go for your comedy, for your information, National Public Radio. I mean, I've been on so many podcasts, and I didn't think I'd have one. And then the people that I respect the most are the ones that are so good at it. I don't know. See, they don't make a mistake like I just made. But, Joe Rogan's on like 4 hours a day, man. And, some people go, well, he eats wild elk and stuff. Well, good for him. I mean, I used to be on Howard's show all the time, and it was, there was some porn time where that was just all dirty shit that he was doing. And then that changed, and he evolved, and he's been through so much. And then he just has, giant stars on or talks himself, and he's goddamn good at it, And then I look at, I I look at everybody. I mean, there's so many people that are doing such great freaking work, and the podcast is like the perfect forum for them because I want to hear them say stuff. So you got to rate me. I'm saying rate, by the way. It's because one time I was talking on this show and I said you got to rape and review me. So after you're done raping me, then you say, well, you weren't that good, but it was against my will. It doesn't matter. I didn't enjoy it. So that could be offensive. I've said this before. I apologize. I don't want to offend any rapists. That's also offensive because when I say something like that, when a comedian says something like that, they're actually disconnecting themselves from what they're actually saying. They're not really thinking about it as an act because I know people that have had that done to them. And it's a horror and it's the worst thing. So now I feel bad that I said it because it crosses the line and the world's got to change. People have to not hurt other people and not violate them and take advantage. And I know so many people that have gone through that. So there I go, trying to be more responsible about what I say. Because we're in a time that, people have done things that are well known. Some comedians, some not, some actor people or whatever, athletes, directors, producers. Wow, producers. Oh, yeah. There was a whole run on producers doing wrong things. But, there's nothing wrong with walking out with a boner and just doing whatever you want. Yes, there is, especially if you're a kid. I shouldn't have laughed. I'm just making it worse. I'm digging a hole that I don't know how I'll get out of. But responsibility is something that's changed, and then people get offended at so much. I had a song I was singing for a while, and I did a show in London, and it was doing really well in the U.S. And I did it in London, and I won't even tell you what it was about. It was about somebody transitioning, and it was about me in character. Not me, but I'm the main protagonist of the song, really caring about this person, and then the relationship didn't work out. But it made it sound like the reason it didn't work out was because they were transitioning. And then I never gave it that thought. I wasn't thoughtful when I thought of it, and it sounded like I was making fun of it. And I sang it at a show in London, and I loved the show, and I loved the audience. And I kind of felt some valley in it when I sang that song. And then I read a review, which was pretty complimentary, except it pointed out that song is when the show changed. And they were right. They were actually right. So when I say don't review negatively, if you know what you're talking about, that's one thing. If I hate this guy, don't bother. I don't want to see that. I mean, but you're entitled to do what you want. That's what the democracy is supposed to be, right? But then I wrote to the writer in England and said, you're right. I'm never going to do that song again. And I never did. I never played it again after that night. And the writer wrote back to me and was really appreciative that it was a review that was constructive because it also called out the things that they liked a lot about what I did. And I'm not known that much in England because America's Funniest Home Videos didn't run there with me. And Full House was kind of, I think it's there now. I don't know. It was on Sky One, which wasn't even popular. It was the kind of like the UHF, which is like some far down the cable line back in the day when none of you were born. But it's, I like constructive criticism now, as long as it's teed up with, properly, not just you suck or fuck you. That's enough of that. People that say that are just muckalucks. I don't know what that means. I hope it's not a bad word. I had a friend, Bernie Brillstein. He was a manager and he produced things like Blues Brothers and Ghostbusters. And he was John Belushi's manager. And when John Belushi died, he was in the plane with him. And John Belushi was in a body bag and he flew him to Martha's Vineyard. And Bernie was a friend of mine. I wrote about him in this book I wrote called Dirty Daddy. And I loved Bernie. It was just really funny. And so that's, I don't know what the point is. The point is, if you can make people laugh during their darkest times and somebody takes offense to it, they're entitled, but I don't want to hear about it. I'd rather just talk to people and hopefully bring I wanted to make this thing be something, and I'm going to continue to work on it for years because I ain't stopping this. I really love this. This is something that I kind of was always doing anyway. It's how I wrote the book I wrote. It's how I do stuff. It's how I do my stand-up sometimes, and although that's, of course, more structured. I'm not sitting here with a beat sheet of the things I need to talk about today. Subjects I must talk about right now. I just want to have a conversation with you guys, and you're not responding, but I feel that you are because you might be waking up in the morning hearing this. You might be stoned in the middle of the afternoon listening to this. You might be on diet pills. I don't think you are while you're listening to this because I've got such a mellow, soothing voice with such awkward, vile things coming out of it sometimes. And then other times I'm just too nice. People go like, why are you talking like Danny Tanner? What the fuck's wrong with you? We want the dirty Bob. Whatever. I don't know. Whatever. I say whatever. I'm 63. Whatever. But it's nice to hear a podcast before you go to bed. I don't know if you do that. I do that. I'll listen to somebody that I really want to listen to. I'll listen to Mark Maron or somebody and just kind of, because I love comedy so much and he loves it so much. And it's just, I know him for a long time. Took him a long time to get himself going. For people out there that think that they're not making it, that they're in their 20s and when am I going to make it because my friend started a software thing, my friend invented an app or whatever, and you're not making it. And I would see Mark at the Comedy Store and go, I don't understand it. I'm so fucking funny, and why aren't I somewhere? Why aren't I further along? And I said, Mark, you're so talented. I mean, I really remember it. It was just when I started to get like a part in a movie. I had just started. It was before television family stuff. And he was just sad and depressed. And he's used that as a gift because he understands himself. And it's kind of, I love hearing people that know themselves. And that kind of calms me down at the end of the day, to hear a familiar voice that soothes you. So that is kind of what I've set out to do. And this thing's going to find itself. And there's going to be shows that you might like better than others. And you're entitled to that. But when you rate it, there's nothing but 5 stars. There's just nothing. 4 stars, what are you going to do with that? 1 star, forget it. If you got 1 star, just get away. Go home. Don't say something mean. I'm a sensitive guy. I want to help people. I want to do something. I'd help an old lady cross the street before I pulled off her underpants. See that? You can't say that. You can't say that. You can't say that anymore, but we're not going to cut it. We aren't going to cut it because I wouldn't do that. And that's the farthest thing from what, and somebody laughed. Some sick bastard laughed at that. You wouldn't have laughed. It was your grandmother, but maybe you would have. My dad had a damn sick sense of humor, man. And I miss him tremendously. Which reminds me, we'll be right back. All right. This is a moment that I was just talking about my dad. Just talking about... He had a perverted sense of humor. He would smirk and say the weirdest stuff. And he lost all of his brothers, and his sister lived longer, my Aunt Temmie, but her name was Thelma. And when I called her Temmie on a television show and in my book, she got angry because the people in her condo development in, I guess it was Boca or Fort Lauderdale, they got really upset. Who's Temmie? And she got mad at me. And I felt bad about that because she was my godmother and I loved her very, very much, really a lot. And my Uncle Jonah, her husband, he was really funny. But my dad had to raise everybody, and then he had to bury all of his brothers, every single one of them. 3 of them died at 37, and 1 died at 70-something, 78. My Uncle Joe, and he had, I'm trying to remember what he died of. I can't remember. I know he had 1 testicle because he had cancer, so they got rid of it. But I have it. I planted it. I planted it in the yard, and I have a testicle tumor bush. I'll just hold for the laughter. But what happened with my dad was when he lost his last brother and my aunt was still alive, we had to go to Philadelphia for the funeral, and we had to bury him next to my sister. So my dad had to see his 34-year-old daughter. That was the age she died at, my sister Andy. he had to look at the gravestone while he was burying his brother next to her. And I just went, okay, I'm taking some TV money and just making this easy. So I took my parents. I decided we're staying one night and getting the hell out of there because our hometown was Philly. And we got on a plane. I put them on the cart. They were older already. I put them on the cart and got them to the thing, put them on the plane. Didn't fly him private. He wasn't worth that. And then we went to the Ritz in downtown Philly, and then he had to write the speech. He was given the eulogy along with the rabbi, and we were Catholic, so I don't get it. No, we were Jewish, but we wanted to be Catholic because then we would have had double guilt. But my dad said, I got to write a speech, and it was the first time my dad had a drink with me. My mom never drank because she didn't want to lose control. I think she had some champagne because it was like not to celebrate, but just to take the edge off because it's like, I'm sure a lot of you have been drinking more than you have been in a while. I stopped just now because I started arguing with my wife, and I don't want to do that. And I'm always I'm wrong. You know I'm the one that's wrong. I say the wrong thing, and it's not easy for me to say the right thing. I try. But in this case, I was very helpful with my dad and mom, and it was just my nephew Adam, and the four of us were sitting there, and we had dinner, and I was giving my dad notes on his speech, and he had written it. He had worked on it for a while as soon as he knew that his brother had passed, and he loved him very much. And my dad had so much love in him, and so did my mom, a lot. But two totally different people. My mom would say, "Stop it." My father would go, "Well, but what if a goat had sex with a turtle?" And I'm like, that's going to be my path. And so my dad writes this speech, 3 a.m. I go into my parents' room, and we all have to get up early to go to the funeral home and everything. You got to check out the body. I don't know if you've been through this before, but holy crap, that ain't fun. So when I took him on this mission to have to pay his last respects to his brother, his last brother, because all 3 of them had died. One died running after a tire at 37 years old because these kids stole the tire, and he was screaming at them, and he had a heart attack on the sidewalk and died. The other one was, maybe he was 40, and the other one was 37, my Uncle Sammy, and he was playing tennis and had a heart attack and died. And then my Uncle Manny smoked 6 packs of cigarettes a day, and his wife, Millie, yelled at him all day long, so he had a double heart attack, the front and the back, and he was just out. And so the family was all fucked up. You know, how can it not be? All these young dads dying. And so people go, "Bob, are you being checked?" And I went, yeah, constantly. I'm always putting things in my ass and making sure that it's safe for other things to go in there. You know, little tiny little things like, you know, things that you would get like at the bowling alley that you use that big, what would you call that? A thing that pulls up a forklift. No, not a forklift. The jaws of life, whatever the hell that thing is, a crane that would pick up the little thing and you'd win it like a little ring or something. That's what I put up my ass. That's okay. I don't even know why I had to. So my dad is there at the eulogy, and he's paying his respects, and I gave him the closing line, which I like to believe in myself because I'm 63 and I ain't going nowhere. I got a lot to do. I got people that I love. I have a lot of stuff I want to do. The people that I love is the most important thing, and we all are getting that kind of understanding right now. Your family, your friends, your chosen family, you know, friends that you're closer with than your own family. That's a big thing for us to reach out and be able to be connected while we're so separated. And my dad gave this whole speech about how my uncle was as a kid and how the different things he went through. And he didn't bring up his divorce. He didn't bring up his relationships that didn't work. He brought up his beautiful daughters, my 3 cousins that I love. And then at the very end, he said, "I'm going to miss you, Joe, and I'll see you in about 30 years, which would have made my dad about 105, something like that. Maybe more, maybe 110. I don't know how long ago this was, but it meant a lot to me that he said that, and he got a laugh at the end because he always had that ability. And it's like saying he was going to live a long time, and he meant it. And he died at 89 years old, and it wasn't enough for him. It just wasn't. And he had diabetes, and he had to lose some toes, and he liked the morphine. He liked the morphine, and he liked the nurses. I had a horny dad. And my mom didn't care for it. In fact, there was a time where he had a heart attack when he was 40 years old and had another one at 41. And he used to smoke 6-pack cigarettes a day, literally. And it was crazy that he did that. And he had a nurse in Norfolk, Virginia that was taking care of him. 6 months he was in the hospital. And she would give him sponge baths. And she would, I don't know what she did with him, but he would always smirk. And my mom wasn't there. And he says that she was saying she'd fallen in love with him. He was that sweet a guy. But he's a patient, and she's the nurse, and she fell in love with him. And so my mom found out about this, and next thing you know, that nurse was gone. And my mom was the nurse because she loved my dad more than anything. And it was pretty beautiful how much they loved each other. 63 years they were together. They were connected by one sweater. They were like two people in a cow costume. But I miss them now. I wonder, I'm sure a lot of you people think, what your grandparents would think about this or what your dad or mom would think about what's going on right now. And nobody's seen this before. And I think my dad I know what my parents would say, and I'm going to end with this. My dad would say, we've all been through hell, and nobody gets out of here alive. You always hear those, old sayings. And no one gets a free ride except the trolley driver, which would be bus driver, because trolleys are rare. San Francisco, perhaps, a couple other cities, elevated trains. But that's who gets a free ride, Dad. And my mom, if she was alive right now, and she passed away, I don't know, 6 years ago, something like that. She was also 89. And she would say, everything's going to be okay, Bobby. Everything's, and I've had so many things happen. We all have. Everybody has. Everybody right now is having shit happen to them. And those that aren't, you're lucky. You're really, really lucky if you're not going through a difficult time. Just trying to get back from, they keep saying the new normal, but I'm abnormal anyway. Abby-normal, Young Frankenstein, prerequisite. Younger people haven't seen it, must see it, and Airplane. And, I can recommend a lot of comedies. This Is the End I liked a lot. But enough about that. It's good to laugh. And my mom was just comforting. She was just saying that everything's going to be okay, and we're going to get through this. And you'll see. And I'll be around. And she prayed. She prayed for a lot of people. And I never really knew that till the end of her life, that she did that. So I think right now there's probably more people turning to faith, no matter what that be, and good grammar, which is something I ain't good at. And they're also turning right now as we come out of this, which is happening, which will happen. And if it comes back, we'll get through that, because that's how this happens, this weird nature shit. And we got to believe in science. If you don't believe in science and you're just in denial, you're not listening to this anyway. As soon as I said fuck, you just went to somebody else. You went to some nice G-rated thing that is inspiring, which is good, which is why podcasts are pretty damn cool, that you can choose any belief you want and subscribe to it. Even if, there's a bunch of people on there that I look at, and that's the number one show or number 5 or number 7. I go, wow, I don't want to hear that. That's not me, but that's what's great, is we're all different. We're snowflakes. Everybody's different. And you get to choose what you want. I hope you choose me. I hope you listen to me more, because I really love doing this. I hope I soothed you a little bit, made you giggle, made you cover your face and go, what the fuck did he say that for? Why did he say fuck? But anyway, I'm sending you what my mom would send you, which would be a blessing, that you're going to be okay, that you are going to be fine, and that you've got to think positive. You just have to, because it's easy to go negative, and you got to kick out of it. You just got to burst it like you're trapped inside a balloon or something, although that's probably safer right now. But we're all going to get through this in different ways. And those that don't, I guess you do what my mom would do, or a lot of people are doing. You pray that they are at peace, because it's a really weird time in history, and it'll be in history. It's going to be in the books. And anybody that don't believe it happened, they might unfortunately succumb to this, because if you don't believe it happened, you're not going to go to a doctor for it. I'm sending you guys all my best. Just be well and take care of the people you love, and reach out to the people you miss. And there's nothing wrong with talking to yourself right now either, as long as It's within reason. I mean, there's a lot of people I know that are going through a lot of mental health stuff, and that's very real. So I could keep talking, and I will. So I will talk to you on the next episode. And, rate, review, and subscribe. And I'm sending you, truly, I am sending out to all of you nothing but positive energy and wishing the best for all of you. I'll talk to you next time on, here I go, slight drum roll. That's not a drum roll. Bob Saget's here for you. Have a good one.